So, what is school actually going to look like in 2030? And I'm not just talking about cool new gadgets or VR headsets. We're talking about a fundamental shift in what it even means to learn. We're going to dive into the one skill that could totally redefine the next generation of education.
All right, let's get right to it. Here's the core idea, and it's coming from a leader who's right there on the front lines of global education. The prediction is this: by 2030, the most valuable skill won't be about what you know, but how you connect with others. The whole thing is built around a concept called cultural intelligence, or CQ. And that really begs the question, are we ready for that shift?
To really understand where we're heading, we've got to first take a hard look at what's not working right now. And our guide for this is Avreeyl Womack-O'Neil, a leader who's turned around schools all over the world. His argument: our current approach to global education, well, it's built on a pretty shaky foundation. This really challenges a word that, let's be honest, we've all been taught is a good thing: tolerance. But O'Neill argues that even though it comes from a good place, tolerance just isn't cutting it anymore. It suggests this passive state of just, putting up with differences, instead of actually engaging with them and trying to find a connection. And this, right here, lays out the exact shift he's talking about. We're moving away from the old goal of tolerance and towards a new goal of genuine understanding. We're going from being passive to being actively engaged. And instead of just putting up with each other, we're aiming for true empathy. And this isn't just playing with words. It's a completely different mission for education itself. So if that old model is broken, what's the fix? What's the alternative? Well, this is where the solution comes in, a skill called cultural intelligence, or CQ. Let's dig into how this one concept could build an entirely new foundation for the way we learn.
Okay, so what exactly is cultural intelligence? To put it simply, it's your ability to function and work effectively in all kinds of culturally diverse situations. And the key word there is effectively. See, this isn't just about knowing a few facts about other countries. It's a real practical skill that's all about action, about adapting, connecting, and collaborating with people who see the world differently than you do. And this whole idea wasn't dreamed up in a university office somewhere. It was forged in the real world, through O'Neill's own experience leading schools on 3 different continents. His journey took him from Los Angeles to Shanghai and then to Singapore. And it taught him a huge lesson, that a one-size-fits-all Western way of leading just doesn't work everywhere. He realized that ignoring cultural nuances isn't some small mistake. It's a massive failure to actually serve the students you're responsible for.
So what does it actually take to build this CQ? Well, it really boils down to 4 key things. First, you need empathy, so you can connect with people on a real human level. Then there's active engagement. You have to be a participant, not just a spectator. Third is adaptability, the skill of flexing your own style and how you communicate. And finally, you need a deep understanding of those cultural nuances, all the unspoken rules that really shape how a society works. These are the new essentials for the student of 2030. Now, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually build a school that teaches these skills? This isn't just a fantasy. O'Neill actually gives a super clear roadmap for leaders who want to start building the school of the future right now. He calls it the 3 A's framework, and it's pretty powerful. First, you anchor. That means you know your core values inside and out, who you are and what your school stands for. Next, you adopt. You show that you can be flexible and respectful when you're in a new cultural setting. And finally, you advance. You move the school forward, but you do it with total transparency and clear communication. It's a simple but really effective guide for leading through big changes. A huge piece of that advanced step is this idea he calls radical visibility. Basically, it means tearing down the walls that usually stand between the school's administration and the community. Parents and students aren't just passive listeners who are told what's happening. No, they're invited to be co-authors of the school's story. It's about building a culture where feedback is constant, where town halls are a normal thing, and everyone feels like a true partner on this journey. And this new way of thinking goes right into the classroom itself. The idea is classrooms without walls, where education actually moves beyond the school building and out into the real world. This means students aren't just reading about social issues in a textbook. They're out there, working with local groups, solving actual problems, and learning by doing. I mean, just imagine a civics class that's actually working with a city council member on a project for their neighborhood. It makes learning feel so much more relevant and shows that really the entire city can be a classroom. Which, of course, brings us right back to where we started. We've seen the problem with the old way of doing things, and we've seen the vision for a new one, a vision built on cultural intelligence and a new kind of leadership. But this isn't just a challenge for principals in Shanghai or Singapore. It's a challenge that's really facing all of us.
When you really think about it, this vision for 2030 completely reframes the whole point of education. It suggests that the future isn't about how much information a student can cram into their head. It's about the quality of the connections they can build with new ideas, with their communities, and with people who are different from them. And that leaves us with the real question. For our own schools, our own communities, and for ourselves, what's the very first step we need to take to get there?